forward with it.
What's that?
Could we have the roll call?
I can do that. Sumner Nichols.
Here.
I'm Deborah Smith.
Present.
I'm Dana Dickerson. Carl Anderson.
Okay, the next section is the public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to comment to the Erie Land Bank? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. And
Yeah,
We can't do
we can't really approve it, so I guess we can go on to the auditor.
Okay.
Allow them to do their presentation.
yes, if the auditors could present.
Yep, here today we have Jennifer Croft and Dustin Starr from Mar Dissel in Pittsburgh. And before we begin, I just wanted to briefly clarify the roles for this portion of the meeting. The auditors were kind enough to drive up here to present their independent review of our financial statements in accordance with GAAP. And then the board's role is to ask questions for understanding and determine whether we can accept the audit. We welcome operating financial questions at any time with any specific details or further breakdown that you would like, and we're willing to schedule an operational and financial management session to provide more intricate details to you.
Okay, thank you. As mentioned, I'm Dustin Starr, principal assigned on the audit. With me is Jen Croft, serving as the manager of the engagement. We have a couple deliverables here. We're going to first cover the communication letter that's found within the financial statements. This letter depicts what our responsibilities are as the independent accountants, which is to provide an audit opinion that's financially driven. We do our audit testing on a test basis and provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are materially accurate. We did provide an unmodified audit opinion, which is a clean audit opinion, the highest level assurance that can be received in an audit engagement. We do gain an understanding of internal controls during the course of our audit in order to design our audit procedures. However, we don't provide an opinion on internal controls. Significant accounting policies during the year. One new accounting policy adopted, however, had no significant impact on the financial statements. Accounting estimates. All financial statements do have an element of estimates within them, with the one to point out would be the valuation of property held for sale. It's also described in note 2 of the financial statements. No disclosures that were significant identified in the financial statements. Glad to report back we had no significant difficulties in dealing with management in performing and completing our audit. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements, none of which were material to the financial statements. Had no disagreements with management during the course of our audit procedures. Upon finalization of these financial statements, we did obtain management representations, which is essentially a letter that's written to us that notes that everything that was provided to us, the inquiries were made, were all factual, and that nothing was withheld from us. We're not aware of any second opinions from other independent accountants, and we had no issues that were contingent upon us being retained as the independent auditors. We did also issue a separately issued management letter that Jen's going to touch here shortly. And we're also going to cover some financial highlights as well for the year ended. Any questions on the communication letter?
I don't have any. Do you?
No.
All right, the next item we're going to go over is the financial statements. So if you flip through that packet, the first page there is going to be your independent auditor's report, which, like Dustin mentioned, the Land Bank did receive an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance you can receive. If we flip past that to the statements of net position, this is what your balance sheet consists of. So you have your total assets of about $801,000. This is up from about $243,000 in 2024. The majority of this being cash and cash equivalents, and that is up due to a fair grant that was received before year end that wasn't spent as of 12/31/2025. So that is still sitting in the cash balance there. Total liabilities are about $370,000, and like I mentioned, the majority of that is related to that fair grant that was received during 2025. So that was received and not spent, so that is in unearned revenue as of 2025, and as that is able to be spent, that'll be recognized as revenue in future years. Total net position is about $431,000. Of that amount, there's about $47,000 that's property held for sale. And then the remaining $385,000 is unrestricted net position. Moving on to the statements of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, you'll see your total operating revenues of $633,132 during 2025, the majority of that coming from the Erie County Land Bank of about $610,000. And then you have your operating expenses of about $432,000. This did decrease from prior years of about $527,000. And the majority of this being those land development and maintenance costs, and then your administrative costs. So those land development and maintenance costs really consist of like demolition, tax sale, acquisitions, trash removal, those types of costs. And that gives you total operating income of $202,000, which is up from the operating loss of about $11,000 in 2024. Total non-operating revenues and expenses consist of $88,717 in non-operating revenues, the majority of this being the gain on sale of the properties that are held for sale, giving you an overall change in net position of a positive $288,000. The next page is a statement of cash flows. So this gives you kind of a brief summary of what happened with the cash during the year. So total cash flows of operating activities, a positive $471,000. Cash flows from capital and related financing activities of $88,000, giving you an overall increase in cash of about $560,000. Any questions on the numbers so far?
Yes, I'm concerned that the gain on sale of property, on that property that was developed in southeast Erie, I mean, this entity to some degree is a developer and put that together. Why aren't we showing the gross amount there and the gross amount on all the lot sales? My concern is these statements make it look like we're not doing much, that we've got a lot of administrative costs, 42% of our operating expenses, and that's not an accurate reflection of what's going on here. Why aren't we showing the gross amount of all the lot sales? We are a developer. This is not a manufacturer selling a property once in a while. This is the business we're in, and you're calling it non-operating revenues. I don't like that classification.
That's what governmental accounting standards require you to. So if you want an audit
I
opinion,
still don't like it. It doesn't,
well, I mean,
yeah.
you don't write the rules, I don't write the rules either.
Right.
So kind of how it works with the land is as you incur costs, you carry an asset, you increase that asset. Once it sells, you offset the asset. So as you're continuing to put money into land sales, the value of the asset goes up, gets netted with whatever the sale price is, the difference is then the gain. So having it gross and gross would mean that you wouldn't match the revenues and expenses necessarily the same, because the asset is what's being classified rather than the expenditures related to increasing the value of that.
So that gain on sale of property would include the net losses or gains on all those individual lot sales?
Correct.
It just kind of submerges what we're doing, I think. I have the same concern with this, and Aaron pointed out that this may be more managerial, but we have this term land development and maintenance, and we have a lot grouped into that. In my mind, I would like to see that broken out into demolitions, property acquisitions, property maintenance, property development, property sales.
Yeah.
And we have the hourly reports that they do a great job on calculating the administrative overhead, but it's not fair to the operation to indicate that he's just sitting at a desk. He's, you know, all of these people are managing different aspects of that. And the same on the legal fees. We show the legal fees more than tripling. Well, a lot of that was quiet title actions, where we're cleaning up titles, and really, to me, that should be allocated to those lots rather than, it makes it look like it's administrative overhead.
The auditors don't allocate or report the financial statements. We provide an opinion on the financial statements that are.
So we could break out.
Correct.
We could break out, as we would discuss, the land development and maintenance into categories.
Yep.
I'm just trying to make these look
So-
a little bit more vibrant than they.
For
they
clarification, so we have two requirements from DECD as part of the land bank. So one is an independent audit of our financial statements, which is what they're providing, and then an annual report that we have to provide along with that. So once that is completed, we have to have the accepted financial statements, so then I can complete the annual report. Both of those documents go to DECD. The annual report will include all of the information that you're really
Okay.
talking about. It'll include all of the properties we've sold, it'll include the revenue that we've generated from that, it'll include all of the expenditures, which is also all of the demolitions and all of that. All of that will be lumped into the annual report, which will go with the audit. So it's really two separate documents.
Okay. And it hasn't been
and that-
prepared yet?
No, and I won't complete that until we have accepted auditing,
Right.
accepted audit.
And that will give us a fair picture of what's going on.
Yes, that'll give
Okay.
a complete 2025 summary of all of the activity associated with the land bank for last year. So, yeah. So this is the independent audit, and then the annual report will include all of that, along with all of our work, our successes, our other issues, revenues, things like that, so.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, not on the financial part. I did have a question on as far as like some of the different deficiencies or different asterisks.
We're gonna
Okay.
touch on that here shortly.
Moving on, we have the notes to the financial statements. These stay consistent pretty much from year to year, as long as there are no new standard updates, which Dustin had mentioned, there are no new standards in the current year. So I'm not going to go over these in any detail, but if you do have any questions on any of these, please let me know, and I'm happy to go over them. That first footnote is really talking about the organization and the operations of the organization. And then footnote 2 is a summary of significant accounting policies. So really your policies on how you treat things, so how you value properties held for sale and your cash and all of those sorts of items. So moving on. From there, just one footnote to point out is footnote number 4, which is the related parties footnote. And this talks about your relationship with the redevelopment authority and contracts during the year and money owed as of the end of the year. So that is a required part of the footnotes to disclose that with any related parties. Okay, and our next item is the management letter. So we do have a couple of items in here. There are 3 different levels of comments that we can issue. There's a material weakness, which is anything we notice that would have a material impact to the financial statements. There's a significant deficiency, which is any deficiency we notice in internal controls, but we don't consider it to be a material weakness, so we don't consider it to have a material impact on the financial statements. And then there's what's called an other matter comment, and these comments don't make their way to significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, but they are just things we want to make you aware of as an organization and kind of better business practices to develop. So you do not have any material weaknesses that we issued in 2025. There is one significant deficiency related to segregation of duties. This is a similar comment to last year, and really with the size of the organization, this is a comment that we often see. It's related to the small staff size and really 1 or 2 individuals being responsible for the whole process of disbursements and cash receipts. I know you do have a mitigating control there, the board reviewing the monthly financial packet, so you do kind of have an oversight there. But we just want to keep mentioning this as something for you to be aware of going forward. But like I mentioned, that is a pretty common comment with the staff size that you do have. The remaining comments are other matter comments, so just best business practices that we want to make you aware of. The first comment there is related to bank reconciliations. We noted one bank account as of year end, there was a difference of about $4,400 in the bank reconciliation. That was corrected after year end, so should not be there going forward, but just a recommendation that those should all balance to 0 at month end. We
How
did,
long was that carried forward,
that comment?
the 4,400 that it was out?
I'd have to go back and look. I think it was gone as of January, because we usually only look at the
But
January.
how many months was it carried?
Back, I don't know that. I could go back and look, though.
Do you know when
But I don't know off the top of my head.
Judicial tax sale.
And I believe it was an entry
So-
posted after it was reconciled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, so those, that bank account was reconciled, so those were December checks that were dispersed. I believe they were still outstanding, those checks were never negotiated. There were 2 properties on the judicial tax sale that we ended up cutting checks for. We have to wait for the judicial tax sale to happen, see if any of the tax delinquent owners come forth and try to reclaim their property by paying their taxes. 2 of those ended up getting returned to us. So by the time we had those checks returned, they were voided in the system, and obviously that was after the end of that month
Okay,
bank
so-
bank
Yeah, so it
reconciliation.
didn't result in an error in cash.
Right.
Just the reconciliation.
Right.
You were aware of where that money was and then corrected for it?
So we did not adjust cash by that amount, just the
Right.
reconciliation did.
Our next comment is related to canceled checks. We did note 1 disbursement during the year. It was for a lawn maintenance expense that only had 1 signature on the check, and the policies and procedures of the land bank is to have 2 signatures. So we did discuss this. It's a normal expenditure, nothing out of the ordinary, and was approved. But just recommending that the land bank stay consistent with those policies and procedures and have 2 signatures on each check. The next comment was a financial reporting comment. This does carry from the prior year. We did have to post a couple of adjustments, 1 to rule fund balance and 1 to properly record year-end accrual entries, so your accounts receivable and accounts payable. And that rolling fund balance entry was really the entry from the prior year accounts receivable and payable. So overall, those kind of net together, but just recommending there that the financial statements have all of the adjusting entries posted, and accruals are properly accrued for as of year end. And our last comment is related to policies and procedures. This comment continues from the prior year too, but if there's anything specific you want to go over from that, I'm happy to do that. But just really recommending that the land bank develop its own set of policies and procedures and then follow those policies and procedures. The one new thing within this comment in 2025 is related to an AI acceptable usage policy, which I know we did talk about a little bit. But just with AI becoming more and more prevalent, just getting a policy out there so everyone knows what the platforms they're able to use are and how they're able to use those before anything does happen and they can't come back and really say, we didn't know. So we have that recommendation in there as well. But if there's anything you need examples of, we're happy to do that. Or if you create a policy, we're happy to look over those as well before it's adopted. Any questions on the management letter?
I just have a question as far as like some of the comments or discrepancies and stuff. Is there like a timeline as far as implementing some of these
We don't really.
discretionaries?
We don't really have a specific timeline. They will continue from year to year, assuming that they aren't implemented. But really just as you're able and look over these to do what you're able to do. If they are addressed during the year, they will be removed from next year's management letter. So just what you're able to do there.
You always have to look at it from a cost benefit as well too. Do you have the ability to put forth resources into these minor comments? Does that make sense for use of time as well too? So more, here's some best practices, not must things.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have any, do you?
I don't have any other one.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your time.
thank you.
All right, so that should be Carl.
Oh, you missed it.
Carl, is that you? On Zoom?
Yes, that's Carl Anderson.
All right, awesome.
Thanks.
Please acknowledge for the record that Carl Anderson joined at 1:24. We now have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Carl, we just completed I don't know if you were trying to watch on the city YouTube channel or not while that, but the auditors just completed their presentation of the audit for the record. That is on the city YouTube. I don't know if you have any questions.
Yes, apologies for signing in late, but I did see that and thank them for their report.
Thank you.
And have no further questions for now.
All right, we're back to item 3 on the agenda, approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
For a
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is a review of the March 16th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve these meeting minutes?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That brings us to item 5, the finance report.
Thank you. So first, I was hoping if Mr. Anderson had been able to see the auditor's presentation, if we are able to have a motion to approve accept the auditor's financial report.
So move.
Second.
Thank
Been
you.
moved and seconded to accept the auditor's report. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's passed.
Yes, so in your packet, as part of the financial report, first is the balance sheet, showing that we have in the checking account $684,000, which again, $300,000 of that is earmarked as 2 different fair grants that we had received. That has to be held until projects start, and then we can start recognizing that as revenue as we draw that down. In the liability section, it does show that $300,000 there as deferred grant revenue. So then at the bottom of that page, it's showing that we have a positive net income of a little over $22,000. On the back of that same page is your profit and loss. So right now we are showing a gross profit of a little over $83,000 for the year. We did have expenses totaling over $61,000. So again, the net income right now is $22,183.28. On the following page, you have the budget versus actuals from January through March. So right now, our revenue is under budget. We did just submit a reimbursement request to the Erie County Land Bank for March, which was a little over $72,000. So as the year progresses and the weather starts becoming more fortunate on us, then we are able to ramp up the projects, start spending additional funds, and then we have larger reimbursement requests to submit to them. As you can see below that in the expense categories, they're broken out for you, but several expense categories are currently underutilized until projects ramp up. So hopefully in the next few months, we should see those increasing. And again, we have a positive net income of the $22,183.28. And then the last page you have is the check detail report. So those were all of the checks that were dispersed for the month of March.
Any questions on the finance report? Well, let's move on to item 6, the report of the executive director.
All right, Solicitor's report. Good afternoon, Board. Gene Sunberg here. It's nice to be with you this afternoon. You will have been provided with the memorandum for the April report. The really good transaction that took place was with regard to 1316 Buffalo Road. There were a lot of moving parts. Again, want to thank Aaron and his staff because that came up very quickly, and we were able to get all the necessary documentation prepared and signed for that closing to take place and for the disbursement of the funds accordingly. So that is yet another success story for the Erie Land Bank, that our procedures and the documentation work with the right project manager and developer in place. So that is another success story for the Erie Land Bank. You will see the listing and itemization of the pending quiet title actions again, so that we can clear the title and move forward with these projects, much like the success story of 1316 Buffalo Road. Happy to advise that 1222 East 9th Street, that's concluded. That's going to come off. It's going to come off the memorandum going forward. Just this morning was successful in getting a signed order from Judge Mead with regard to 2216 German Street. And again, because it's an expedited hearing and judgment, we wait 30 days to make sure that their property owners don't file an objection to it. And then that order is then filed of record, so that that title is clear, so that Aaron and his group can move forward with whatever their plans are associated with 2216 German Street. The rest of the properties are in process. I do not expect any issues or problems with regard to any of those properties. It's all been very quiet, and if we do get inquiries from people, we're able to work with them and accommodate it. So we are continuing in moving these properties through the quiet title process. Again, the courts understand what we're doing, and they're on board with recognizing what our processes are, and will accommodate us throughout the process.
Have you completed as many as a third of those quiet title actions, or where do you think you are as you work through them?
We have completed the vast majority of them, and are really at a point where we're waiting for the court's calendar to accommodate these final offers. So the vast majority of them go through without any issue. It's just trying to find a time when the court can accommodate my filings and my presentation at the hearing like this morning.
So this backlog we had,
It has been addressed and rectified.
by the end of the summer, you'd expect it to be fully caught up on that.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right, Your Honor.
In time to add more to that list.
Yeah,
Right.
so
But
we're,
it was a lot at the beginning.
Yeah.
it was. It was, Chairman. So it is at a point where we have these all up to speed, so that when the next batch comes through, that we will be able to accommodate them and get them concluded in a very efficient fashion. Thank you.
Oh,
Any more questions for the solicitor?
all right, so I guess I will move on, general updates and information. So the agenda, I just wanted to note that the agenda looks different than you have seen in the past, as the mayor continues to come on and look at different things, processes and procedures, in a way to bring all of the authorities, boards, and commissions into a uniform condition. You know, we've kind of adopted a general agenda that looks the same across the board. I believe City Council is going to be the only agenda that is the exception, but all of the authorities, boards, and commissions were asked to adopt one general agenda so that it all looks the same for the citizens. So that's the reason for the updated agenda as far as that goes. So just an update to the February meeting when the board authorized the redevelopment authority to seek condemnation action on 10 properties. Last Monday, the authority passed a resolution to proceed with condemnation action against 10 of those properties. So through the due diligence and the process of working with those properties, 5 of them have been taken off of that resolution as we continue to try to work with them to seek voluntary compliance of their blight designation. One is currently undergoing demolition activities. The other 4 are in the process of working with Josh and Jake from the Bureau of Building Standards and Safety to get a statement of intent to renovate, and we'll continue to monitor those at any point that those properties fall off of compliance or working with us to gain that voluntary compliance and work toward a blight rescission, then we can always work on bringing those back in front of the board for condemnation at that time. So that's an update there. 1737 West 6th Street, which was a property sold under a developer agreement to Steve Lewis Contracting, is under sales agreement and is just about completed. I'm working with him, hoping to put together a day to bring the board out to tour the property. I was there last week with Josh, and it's phenomenal. It's really coming along. So we're going to release some money that we had agreed to do the public sidewalks back before he purchased it, but we were holding off until he completed the renovation and to determine what part of the sidewalks would have to be completed. So we're going to fulfill that obligation, but he's hoping to be sold here in the next 30 to 45 days, but sidewalks should be poured. If they're not poured already, they'll be poured today. So just an update there. I'll get an invite out to the board once we know a good day.
That property is shown as pending on the realtor, which would be good.
Yeah, it does have a sales agreement. He is under contract to close, so he's just waiting. When we were there last week, we were waiting on countertops to be installed, so everything else was pretty much completed outside of the sidewalks. Update on the Housing Choice Voucher Home Ownership Learning Cohort through the Center for Community Progress. Erie Land Bank was selected as one of 12 land banks across the U.S. to participate in that cohort. So I submitted a list including myself as a representative from the Erie Land Bank, Housing Authority of the City of Erie, the City of Erie, and a representative from Infinite Erie to attend that cohort. 4 learning sessions with the Housing Authority out of Newark, New Jersey. Our first session is May 12th, and then we go through June, July, and August to fulfill the learning of that cohort. So that is, I did provide the board my executive director report from the redevelopment authority meeting, really because a lot of the activities go back and forth. A lot of the stuff is the same. Feel free to look through that, and Carl, I will make sure that gets emailed out to you, since we added that this morning and it wasn't part of the email last week. A couple of the things on there. The one big is the Emma Howell Apartments ribbon cutting on March 27th. That was a land bank property that was conveyed under a developer agreement to HANS, Housing and Neighborhood Development Services, along with some additional funding to remediate the asbestos as part of that. Of course, as if you're familiar with the project, they ended up demolishing 1319, which was the structure we conveyed to them, and they plan to renovate. Upon further evaluation, after taking ownership of it, it was determined that the best feasible outcome for the property was to demolish it and construct a new property. So what is there is new construction, but it started as a land bank property. So that is a full circle from blight designation through acquisition with the land bank through completion of the developer's agreement. So that has all been satisfied and issued a certificate of completion. So that's about it. Other than that, if you read through that and have any questions about some of the other activities that we've been working on and that through the Land Bank and Redevelopment Authority, certainly let me know.
Well, I would just ask a question as to, at our last meeting where Mr. Crenshaw appeared, and he had indicated he had obtained a demolition permit for that property on East Avenue. Has that demolition started yet? Or?
It is currently underway. It is probably about 90% complete as far as I'm aware. As of last Monday, I believe the house was down, the foundation was cleaned out, and it was being backfilled. The garage was yet to be demolished, but I haven't been by this week yet.
Any other questions for the executive director? Next item is old business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no update on this. Gene reached out to the city solicitor to get a clarification on the question from the board meeting last month. We've yet to hear back. We'll follow back up and hopefully have an update for the board at the May meeting.
Item 8 is new business, election of officers, board reorganization. We haven't done that yet, I guess?
No. So in January, we were unsure of how the city's DECD seat was going to be filled, and since at the current time it stayed the same, I feel, and with Mr. Gamble's term expiring and him no longer being a member of the board and us awaiting city council appointment, that leaves our treasurer seat vacant, which is a very integral part of the operations of the Erie Land Bank. So we need to reorganize currently while we await an appointment from city council to fill his vacancy, so that we can have a secondary signer on the bank account.
May I interject on that?
Sure.
I apologize for you guys not having that appointment. I was here at Mr. Gamble's last meeting. I knew that seat would be vacant. I had an accident since then, so you have my word, we won't have another meeting without the city council putting forward.
Thank you, Mr.
Should we
Horton.
wait for that then? Should we wait for the appointment?
We can, as the only signer on the account, we just need to make sure of availability of the chairman to come in and sign checks is our only concern.
Which speaks right to the possibilities, concerns about two people being assigned.
Yeah, so currently, myself and the chairman are the only signers on the account that are active, and so we're the only two people who could sign checks. So in your absence, there's no backup to sign that check.
So we need somebody to take the position of treasurer right now?
Yes, and that would be essentially it. So we have 4 open, we have 4 positions by the bylaws to fill. Chairman, vice chairman, secretary, and treasurer, which leaves 1 vacancy, which is typically, I usually, held for the youngest member of the board as they come up to speed. So certainly, we have 4 seasoned members and really 1 vacancy, and Mr. Anderson currently does not have a seat filled on the current slate from last year. So.
Do we have a volunteer between you and Carl on taking the position of treasurer? Do we elect a new board?
Well, if the other officers are going to remain the same, and Debbie Smith is going to remain as vice chair and you as chair, and Ms. Dickerson as secretary, then I will fill the treasurer position. If that is what the board would choose to do.
Well, what I'm thinking is we would just appoint somebody as treasurer now and wait to have an actual election until we had the council appointment.
We can do at the will of the board. If that is, Mr. Chairman, that's up to you. I mean, it is a significant task to get check signers. So, if the will is to have a reorganization once we have 5 appointed members, then it would be my suggestion, even though it's a hardship, is to maintain the current slate and await those appointments, because to go to the bank to put signers back on to then potentially change them again would just get confusing for the bank, the auditors, and everybody involved later on down the road.
I'm 75, but I think I'm good for another month.
Can you knock on some wood? Sorry. All right, so we want to table that?
Yes.
All right, motion to table.
We have a motion to table.
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is a vacant lot, developer proposals. Do we have any of those?
So we have 1 vacant lot, Mr. Chairman, 511 East 21st Street, to Louis Cutzhole, who lives at 515 East 21st Street. So it is an adjacent property owner. Offer price was $500, increased by $100, with the highest offer of $1,000 or $3,000 as an escalation clause. I'm just looking. I believe this was an older agreement prior to the end of last year when we revised the minimum fee of 500. Yeah, this was September of 2025 proposal. It was one of those that was kind of tabled while we worked through clearing up a lot of the issues with Attorney Sundberg and his staff on the quiet title. So it's now cleared and ready to go to sale.
Why wouldn't we hold them to the $1,000 price, though? I invested the quiet title action in this.
It's in my opinion that he submitted the offer prior to an administrative stop on sales of properties to clean up some issues that we had internally as far as some properties being pushed forward. So, I mean, it's up to you, but, or it's up to the board if we want to go back to them and escalate it up to 1,500 because that is our new policy. Certainly, it was offered to them at 500 back in September prior to the board's
Yes.
change.
Yeah, and the delay was because of our change in policy there to clear these items to make sure.
No, the delay that was due to just some issues internally, staff-wise, that we had to clear up some backlog and some issues that we had as far as properties going down to Marsh that had back taxes and other issues that needed to be cleared before they were ready to get a sales agreement.
Are there taxes owed on this?
No.
Okay.
So the request is to sell it at $500.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. We'll need a motion to sell this
So he's using this lot as, I didn't see exactly what's he's going to, sidewalk.
Yeah, it's an adjacent lot, so it'll be combined with their
His current
existing
lot?
parcel.
Oh, okay.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is Erie Land Bank tax abatement.
Mr. Chairman, we have no tax abatement requests this month.
And the last item is the 2026 lawn maintenance agreement with Yardmasters.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there is a resolution to approve a contract with Yardmasters of PA LLC at a price of $45 per lot per mowing event for the 2026 season. We received three proposals for our lawn mowing RFP that went out. This was a chosen vendor due to their collaborative approach toward mowing. They are going to utilize our lawn care provider from last year and use them as their subcontractor and then provide us a little bit more. They're going to utilize their system of mowing and tracking to help us increase our productivity and efficiency when it comes to tracking it. So they're going to utilize a small local vendor and then utilize their master mowing and tracking software to help us internally monitor and track our mowing activities across the city of Erie.
Where last year he was lagging on this work, I think.
I think it was a combination of.
You were getting complaints from neighbors and such.
Yeah, there was a tracking mechanism and also an internal follow-up that was just, I think there was a little bit of catch. So Josh and I are going to meet with them later this week, provide them the addresses, and they're going to load it into their system, which helps the vendor identify what parcel's actually supposed to be mowed, and then also help us verify that the mowing has actually occurred in real time.
Do we have a motion to accept this lawn maintenance agreement?
I had a question. How many parcels do we have?
Currently, 86 plus the 17 were acquired at the judicial tax sale, but the judicial tax sale properties won't be on the mow list until we evaluate what actually needs to be done with them. And they get mowed twice in May, twice in June, and once in July and August.
Do we have a motion to accept the agreement over work in this board today?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank you.